Is going to an Ivy League school actually worth it? My name is Tom, and I actually graduated from an Ivy League college a couple of years ago. And in this video, I wanted to talk about what exactly do you get from going to an Ivy League college and whether or not it's worth it for you. In this video, when I say Ivy League college, I'm just going to be generally referring to like the top 15, top 20 private colleges that you can go to in the US. Also, quick pause in the video, but chances are that if you are watching this video, you are a student that takes academics really seriously. And I just wanted to talk about a tool that I'm building called Nexus. Nexus is a tool that helps you read and write papers faster than ever before. It allows you to upload any text file, and then from these text files, take notes on them, and at the same time, gives you access to a chat interface where you can ask any question that you want to that piece of text. So you no longer have to read entire blocks of text from beginning to end, and you can quickly extract information by chatting with it like ChatGPT. Also, there's an awesome feature called multi-paper chat, which lets you ask one question to multiple papers at once, so you can quickly compare and contrast information between different pieces of text. And then if you see something interesting, you can then do a deep dive into talking to that one individual paper to learn more details about how it all works. In my opinion, it's an awesome product that helps you read and write papers faster than ever before. All right, now let's get into the video. Going to an Ivy League school certainly has its advantage, but I will say something that is not an advantage is the actual raw education and raw materials that you are going to be learning. Doesn't matter if you are going to a state school or a community college or an Ivy League or private institution. Physics is physics no matter where you go. Sociology is sociology no matter where you go. The raw material of what you are going to be learning is going to be exactly the same. But the way that it starts to differ is, number one, in terms of the class sizes. Ivy League schools and these really top schools in general tend to have really small class sizes compared to public institutions. This lets you have a more individual relationship with the professor or the TAs. And in turn, for some people, this can help them perform better academically just because there's a little bit more support throughout the entire system. Whereas when you're going to a public school, you are kind of just like one student out of multiple thousands that they teach on a day in and day out basis. So it is harder to get that support if you need it. So if you're somebody that's pretty important and you don't really feel like you're going to need that support, you don't really need to go to an Ivy League school. You're going to be just fine at a state school in that regard. But if you're somebody that does like having that extra support or forming that extra relationship with your professor, I do think going to one of these private colleges could help you out. And then outside of the actual core learning experience, the number one advantage that you are going to get by going to any of these like prestigious, select, elite, private universities, whatever you want to call them, is the name brand that you get from them. It's kind of like when you're shopping for shoes. Why do you choose Nike over an Under Armour shoe? Well, it's because Nike does a much better job of branding its product. Is it actually technically better? I don't know, it's kind of debatable. But no matter what, it does have a better image in the world compared to a brand like Under Armour, and same thing goes to Ivy League schools. When you go to one of these Ivy League prestigious universities and you get that diploma, people are immediately predisposed to think that you are smart. It's like, whoa, this person went to a big name school. They must be pretty smart, even though that's not the case all the time. And then on that note of like the brand name and the brand value of going to one of these institutions is the fact that oftentimes you can really leverage your network to chat with really cool and important people. I know one of my good friends back in college, she was job searching and she realized that the chief marketing officer for a really huge company was an alumni of Dartmouth. So she reached out, sent him an email, and she was able to talk to this person who runs like a 3,000 person company and have a one-on-one call with them. And this is not out of the norm as well. I know multiple of my friends who've been able to meet and connect with really cool alumni in really high up places just because that school bond is really strong. Now let's transition over a little bit into talking about career prospect and job opportunities. Now, I will say almost like 90% of the jobs out there in the world, you will have access to them regardless of what college you go to, as long as you're qualified, and it's up to you to figure out what that qualification is. Getting those internships, getting the job experience, getting the project experience, developing those technical skills to get that interview, to get that job. I mean, for myself, I'm a software engineer at my day job, and I actually worked at Google immediately after graduating from college, and the vast majority of my coworkers did not go to top 20 schools or like elite schools. The vast majority of them went to normal public schools, normal state schools, and they were totally fine. They just proved their technical skills and proved their qualifications through other means. But at the same time, there are certain industries that tend to really only cherry pick from these top 20 schools, from a certain caliber of schools. I don't want to generalize too much, but most of the time, jobs such as investment banking or consulting from like the very prestigious firms such as McKinsey, Bain, BCG, they recruit really, really heavily from these top tier universities. And while it is 100% totally possible to still get these jobs from not going to one of the top institutions of the world, it is exponentially harder just because they tend to recruit the most heavily from there, and the competition and the caliber of students that you're going to be competing with is a lot harder. So while it's possible, just know that it's going to be a much steeper uphill battle compared to if you were going to another institution. But now let's say in terms of career opportunities, you're not really interested in working in corporate America. Maybe you're more interested in going to law school or going to medical school, something that has to do with a professional degree. Then in that scenario, I think the Ivy League education matters a lot less. I think what matters more in that scenario is getting a good GPA and proving yourself academically. And maybe there are good chances that you'll get a better GPA going to a state school or a public university compared to going to an Ivy League institution. The brand name isn't as strong because throughout the application process, I'm sure they look at like a holistic view of everything that you have done. Those are the biggest advantages that you get from attending an Ivy League school. To summarize, it is the personalized learning environment, a little bit more one-on-one attention with your professor or your TA. And then number 2 is the brand name and the opportunities that come out from it. I want to conclude the video saying truly at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what college you go to, and what's more important is what you do wherever you end up. So make sure to work hard and study hard no matter where you end up. You're going to crush it. Thanks for watching today's video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.